Carl and Damon here from Games, Brrraains A Head-Banging Life, gbhblofficial for short. And it's They Made What into a TV series as we continue the Halo talk through up to episode number 4, Homecoming. Directed by Brrraains A, written by Justin, Jewel, Gilmer and Stephen Kane. We begin seeing the Spartans as young children being drilled in the UNSC army. Child John is visited by Halsey as he tries to run away because he wants to go home. So we're seeing him as a young boy here. And she tells him that his leadership skills and that he will one day save them all. Which means we come to the present time as John and Halsey are en route to his home planet. And questions like, why is the Keystone connecting to John, are all the really important ones we need answered now. Yep. I do like Cortana and John's back and forth. We get more of it here. Yeah. Developing that relationship to eventually, well, I don't know what it'll be. Yeah. And he's anxious about going home, of course. Meanwhile, on Madrigal, Quan and Soren have now arrived, and he speaks to her about his returning memories and the damage that was done to him. So, look, that's the connection between him and John. He went through the same thing John's going through now. Yeah,
I liked it because it was obviously the bit about his father.
Yep.
And how he remembered that he was the one who...
This is development for Soren as well, because ultimately he had to do it all alone. And I think that's an important thing too. We then go back to Reach, where we see that Kai has removed her emotional suppressor pellets. Having seen what John did, she's decided to do it herself.
Yep.
On Iridius 2, Chief and Halsey land and go to his childhood home. And Chief tries to remember where the second Keystone is buried and thinks he has a rough idea, but his memories are fractured, doesn't quite get it. Quan and Soren land and head to the town. As they walk through, Vincher is out and about meeting with his guards. This is the UNSC plant guy. I always love that as well, that it suggests that the UNSC aren't like good guys in situations like this. Mm-hmm. They're headed to a market and Quan meets up with a friend who will lead her to her father's former allies later that night. She thinks she can start a revolution or join a revolution. On Reach, Kai is having a moment and puts red streaks in her hair. I thought that was interesting because I was like, well, when they see that, it's going to raise some eyebrows, isn't it? Yeah, and it bloody does. She then meets up with Silver Team and Miranda in the Keystone room. Miranda wants to test the other Spartans with the Keystone, which makes total sense. Let's see if it works with you. Maybe it's a Spartan thing, not necessarily a Master Chief thing. Meanwhile, John has been doing a lot of digging and not found the Keystone yet. He eventually uncovers a case, though, which houses all his drawings of the Keystone and one of a ring, a circle, something he doesn't recognise. So, but we know what that is.
I like the fact that when it zooms out, there's like 30 holes. So he didn't just find it.
No.
He had to dig everywhere to find it.
Yeah, it's a lot of digging. Yeah, it's a lot of digging. John then heads off into the house. On Madrigal, a service Quan's father is happening, and it's here that she arrives to meet his generals. However, they refuse to help, seeing themselves as defeated. The resistance is dead. They fear the Covenant and Vincher, so it's a bit of both.
Yeah.
Vincher keeps us safe, the UNSC keeps us safe from the Covenant. Look what the Covenant did last time they came. But Vincher is also a dangerous man.
I can get it, yeah.
Completely get it. Quan gets angry though, makes a scene, prompting the arrival of Vincher's men. They attack the crowd, but before Quan can fight, Soren drags her off. On Reach, Miranda tests the Spartans with the Keystone. Kai is last, and her and Miranda have some words about how the latter feels about Spartans. And Kai touches the Keystone, but nothing happens. And then she just leaves.
I like Kai and Miranda's backwards and forwards. They have a quiet bit. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, their relationship's going to develop nicely over the next couple of episodes. Definitely. Here, they're still very much on opposite sides. Miranda doesn't like the Spartans because she doesn't really care for Halsey. And the Spartans can feel that, basically. Are aware of that. In John's abandoned home, he asks Katana to recreate his home as it was. Halsey gives him a warning about how his recollection could be confused and to be careful. She would say that. Knowing what we know, she would say that. As John explores his home, Cortana recreates things and he begins to piece things together. And during this, we see that Halsey looks a bit concerned. We've been aware she's hiding shit up to this point.
Yeah, definitely.
We just haven't worked out what exactly she's hiding. John sees himself interacting with his parents, dog, and where the second Keystone is. Young John touched it, hence his obsession with drawing. It seemed to have an effect on him at a very young age. What else does John see? He sees Halsey coming to his house when he was a kid. which is something he didn't know.
Yep.
Dun, dun, dun.
Exactly. So what did she do?
Exactly. Why was she there? Miranda and Silver Team are in the lab. Experiments on Covenant bodies and weapons. Do get a bit of a shot of some of the stuff, cool things here.
Yep.
And what Miranda actually does. Silver Team's time fighting the Covenant means they have picked up elements of the language. I thought that was cool. Because, during a battle, the Covenant are likely to be talking and shouting to each other. Mm-hmm. You'd start picking up little bits here and there.
Definitely, yeah.
And using that, Miranda thinks they might be able to translate the Maquis transmission from the previous episode. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. I will say, I think people might find this episode one of the slower ones. There's very little action. We're just kind of following each set of characters as it develops. I was really enjoying it.
Yeah,
I was.
I enjoyed
but
it,
I understand why people might find this one a bit slow.
I do, but then you can't have constant action.
Of course.
There has to be a point where, look, we got to explain the story.
Yeah.
Because...
As long as we're moving forward, I'm happy. And we are still moving forward in this show. We're still learning details. Is it a little bit too coy with some of those details at times? I think it is. I'd argue that the part that's the slowest with is Quan. It feels like we're dragging our heels with that.
Yeah.
And we will see that because after this episode, she'll disappear for quite a period of time, to be fair. Talking of which, though, on Madrigal, Soren sees that his ship has now been discovered and confiscated. And Quan gets Soren to help her find her aunt. En route, though, they're attacked, but it's Quan's aunt and her guards defending their location, thinking that obviously it was Vishnu and his men.
I do like the fact that Soren, although he's been retired as a Spartan,
he's still a Spartan.
He still has the ability, and his gun's cool.
Yeah, he's still a Spartan. Yeah. They reunite as we see Vishnu arranging a bounty hunter named Franco to go after them. Miranda talks to the Silver Team and they all begin to soften. This is where we kind of start to get this development as Miranda starts to learn a bit more about Silver Team and so on. However, we do continue to see how Halsey may not be the nicest person as the team talk about some of the earlier tests they went through.
Yep.
Indeed. Meanwhile, John has had a lot to think about and Halsey tries to talk to him. He tells her the truth about what he saw and demands an answer as to why she was in his memories at a point where she shouldn't have been. Because his understanding is that he would have met Halsey when he joined the UNSC.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
She suggests that his memories have become muddled because of who she is in his life, which is a fair argument, even if he seems unconvinced by it. Quan argues with her aunt about fighting Vishnu, but her aunt reveals that her father visited a mystical tribe years before. He returned different and insisted that Madrigal be freed, and Quan wants to know where this tribe is. I was a bit like, don't put mystical tribes into this, please. Yeah, I was a bit like that about that part.
Yeah, because it was sort of like, so basically what you're telling me that he was bewitched.
I mean, what does that mean to us, you know? Yeah. It doesn't mean anything. I felt a bit like, that's convenient. What, he visited them and then decided they'd become a freedom fighter. Franco arrives, though, and kills Quan's aunt, but Soren shoots her, forcing her to run away. They head out, but get attacked by Vince's men, but manage to escape. That's a decent enough action sequence.
It's a pretty cool scene because obviously he's on the bike, he's getting shot.
That's
stuff like that. But
and I like the location's pretty cool.
Did you think that Quan, the agent or whatever she was, do you think Quan recognised her? Because when she came in, she said her name.
Oh, maybe.
So it's like was she maybe an ex-general?
Maybe that'll come back because she didn't die. Franca didn't die, so I presume she's going to come back.
Yeah.
Maybe. John and Halsey head out to get the second keystone as he remembers now where it is. Meanwhile, on reach, Miranda is getting the recording together. With Kai's help, they discover that the keystones are related to a sacred ring that the Covenant call Halo. I think it's the first time Halo is said in this show.
Yeah.
Miranda asks Kai if they can keep all of this secret and Kai agrees. But here Miranda does note that Kai is acting a bit odd. And if she's noticing it, Halsey will notice it too.
Yep.
Because during this scene Kai is quite excitable about the recording and stuff like that, and it's clear that's not quite how a Spartan would normally act. They're very dry and monotone about these things, and Kai's vocal behaviour.
And joking about her hair.
There's a lot of stuff that does stand out. We know why. Miranda doesn't know why, but she does point out that Halsey's going to notice this. But this is something that Halsey's also all too aware of with John, as we see John finding the second keystone, and that's where this episode ends. Look, We weren't going to have banger episode after banger episode. We accept that. We knew that. Mm-hmm. I still enjoyed this episode. I enjoyed this because I felt like it developed and pushed the story onwards again.
Yeah.
We're still moving in directions and learning new things as we go along. Was it the most exciting of episodes? No. But I didn't think they were all gonna be.
It wasn't, but I mean, as you said, you got your story.
Yep.
You had a little bit of action, obviously, with Soren, the fighting, and the motorbike being shot at. So
yep.
you still got a bit of action, but every TV series has its point. You have to have a point where there's a story, otherwise what's the point of watching it?
Yeah, I think episode 4 is not a bad spot to kind of do this right. Yeah. But the only thing, like I said, as I said during it, and I'll repeat again here, is that I felt like they were baby stepping rather than striding forward.
Yeah.
And that's it. And I felt like with Quan, for example, that was very baby steps.
Yeah.
And a lot of that, arguably, you could say, didn't even need to be in the episode. Like the meeting the generals and stuff like that.
It didn't. I still don't know where her story's going to go.
No idea.
Because it's a bit because she's now by herself.
It feels completely separate.
Yeah,
it feels completely separate. It's odd, really. In fact, it doesn't quite feel like it fits anymore. It felt like she was going to be an important connection to John, but that seems completely separate now as well. And will continue so as we go forward.
Yeah, because I can't see Soren being like a general for her because he cares about his place, you know.
Yeah, but he's still got, like, he's not a bad guy.
No.
It's hard to say because here's the thing. At the time of recording, we haven't watched episode 7, 8 or 9.
Yeah.
Before this recording, we're only gone a few episodes ahead, so maybe further down the line in those episodes more will happen. You know, the John and Halsey stuff I do enjoy.
Yes, definitely.
I felt like enough of that happened that it was cool as well as like that.
Yeah.
I probably my favourite parts of this episode were on Reach with Miranda and Kai.
That was their banter and their backs and forwards was really good.
Yeah, I still enjoyed it. I don't really have I really have any complaints at this stage.
Nope.
I really don't. That's episode 4, Homecoming of the Halo TV series. You got any thoughts and you know what to do? Let us know in the comments.
Thank you very much for watching. If you liked what you saw, please help us out by giving us a thumbs up and hitting that subscribe button. If you really liked what you saw, consider donating to keep the website and channel running by buying us a coffee via our coffee page or picking up some merch from our Big Cartel store. You can check us out on gbhbl.com as well as via our social media, Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, as well as listen to our interviews via SoundCloud, Apple Music and Spotify. Just search for GBHBL. Games, horror and heavy metal. What else is life for?